You're listening to the AstroMommy Daily Horoscope, a forecast that hopes to shine a light in the dark, helping us all see where we've been, where we are, and where we're going. Whether you're a first-time listener or a long-time subscriber, thanks for being here. I truly appreciate you being in the AstroMommy community. I hope you enjoyed today's horoscope and card reading. If you would like to support the AstroMommy Newsletter, there are several ways to do so. Subscribe on Substack, share it with a friend, schedule a reading, check out my family's Etsy shop, Metaphysical Flamingo, or just leave a tip. Without further ado, here is the Daily Horoscope. Happy Valentine's Day! Venus conjunct Neptune, but Moon opposite Mars, plus a special love reading. Daily Horoscope for Tuesday, February 14th, 2023. Good morning, friends. Okay, let's get into the astrology. Well, happy Valentine's Day, and this one is sure to be an interesting one. Today, the Moon in Sagittarius will be making two aspects that I think will really color the day, and Venus and Neptune are closing in on their conjunction, which will be exact tomorrow. So the Moon today will first form a trine to Jupiter in Aries at 8 degrees, who has just left his shadow period from his last retrograde back in July of 2022. With the trine from the Moon and Jupiter out of shadow, we are finally going to be able to start to feel some blessings from Jupiter. The trine aspect is of the nature of Jupiter, who represents wealth, abundance, and prosperity, and the Moon represents our circumstances, emotions, and the ups and downs of life. I think this is a really positive omen that something good is coming. Jupiter in Aries brings gifts of a pioneering nature, like crossing items off your bucket list. The rewards from Jupiter can be life-changing, life-altering, and ultimately positive and joyful. I don't know about you, but I am ready for Santa to come into my life, and you better believe I have the cookies and milk waiting for when he arrives. By tonight, the Moon will make an opposition to Mars, and this could cause conflict, tension in our relationships, and feeling like we are on polar opposites with someone in our lives. This could create a real problem with the whole Valentine's Day thing. One person could be into it and the other could feel like going in the total opposite direction. So be careful about things of a romantic nature not going according to plan, especially if you have high expectations of where the night may go. Venus is only 1 degree away from her conjunction with Neptune in Pisces, and this could mean a lot of positive things, but like everything in astrology, there is also the shadow side we need to be aware of as well, especially with Neptune, who seems to be a master of illusion. Venus conjunct Neptune could be dreamy, chill, and could feel like love at the highest spiritual level, or it could be disappointing, feel like a letdown, or be confusing. Maybe you had a lot of high hopes for the evening, but then it feels kind of like the fog rolled in and you get really confused and lost, or someone gets triggered and the whole night feels soured and ruined from some sort of emotional tidal wave that hit. With Venus in her exaltation and Neptune in his home sign of Pisces, there are definitely a lot of high expectations and a bit of overinflation. It's like you planned a vacation to a tropical island and you have all these fantasies about sitting on the beach sipping pina coladas, but it rains the entire time you're there. Now you and your honey are stuck in the hotel room and you could either be miserable or you can see it as a blessing that pushes you to have a good time even though your ideal vacation isn't happening. How do you deal with loss and disappointment in your relationship? How do you and your partner deal with the tides changing, plans getting ruined, or the feeling of failure? With Pluto at 29 degrees of Capricorn, the last degree, it feels very edgy and like truth bombs, tests of boundaries, and survival issues are hitting us from right and left. Are we going to be able to hold our ground and make it through? Venus conjunct Neptune reminds us that we have to surrender to the ocean in order to survive the storm. I'm reading The Black Stallion by Walter Farley to my daughter for homeschool, and in that book, the young teenage boy, Alec, and the Black Stallion get shipwrecked from a violent storm. Alec only survives because he decides to free the stallion from his stall, and in doing so, he gets caught on the stallion's rope and realizes that being attached to the stallion, although it's super scary, is how he will survive. So he ties the rope around his waist and is pulled by this mighty beast through the ocean's violent waves to land. As he's approaching land, he realizes that he's tied to the stallion, and as soon as the horse hits land, he's going to be dragged to his death. So he reaches into his pocket, having faith that the pocket knife his uncle gave him before he boarded the ship will still be there, and it is. He cuts himself free from the Black Stallion just in time. This is so Pluto at the 29th degree, survive or die trying. And it's also Venus and Neptune together in Pisces, have faith, surrender, and blessings will come. They may not look like what you thought they would, but they will carry you through the stormy seas to solid ground. We are all dealing with things in our lives that feel like they are ships crossing the ocean, and our boats could be toppled and split in two at any moment. With Pluto at the 29th degree, we are all hanging on by a thread of hope, but it's not time to give up and let ourselves drown. We have to put in the work to survive or die trying. summoning our inner stallions. Hard Pluto transits always remind me of transition and childbirth, that point when the baby's head goes through the bones of the pelvis. It feels like you are going to break from the inside out and your legs are going to pop off. And the truth is, you have to surrender to the very uncomfortable feeling and trust that you won't break and that you won't die, but it feels like you are going to die. And there's nothing you can do except surrender to the inevitable fate, whatever that may be. You have to get that baby out or die trying, and once you accept whichever outcome is meant to be, it's like the pressure release valve is released. You throw up, maybe poop a little, and then the baby's head is through the bones and crowning. You are able to see the finish line again, and now it's time to push and work the hardest you've ever worked in your goddamn life, like the black stallion swimming through the storm. That's where we are. We are birthing a baby, and the head is coming through the bones of our pelvis, and it feels like this may be the end. So take a deep breath, find that inner stallion, the part of yourself that knows you are an eternal soul, and if life in this body should cease, you will go on, and make peace with that knowledge. Trust in the divine process. Whatever is meant to happen will happen, and it is through surrendering to the process that miracles emerge. The stallion's hooves hit the sand. The baby's head makes it through, and you no longer feel like death is whispering in your ear, but instead, it's Mars and Saturn and Venus and Jupiter telling you to fight and work hard, love and give. Give it everything you've got. Through every transformation and new birth, we die a little death that makes room for the new. We shed our old skin, molt out of our old existence, and emerge moist, sticky, and exhausted, but fresh and new, like the Fool in the tarot, ready to begin the journey again. Or maybe we feel like the Star card, naked, vulnerable, and exposed, but ready to pick up the pieces of our life after the tower has fallen and rebuild. Now I will pick 3 cards for Valentine's Day. Love and relationship reading. The first card will represent you, the second, your partner, and the third, the relationship. The first card representing you is 2, the High Priestess, reversed. The High Priestess is all about trusting your intuition and your inner guidance. When she shows up reversed, it can mean that maybe you are not listening to that inner voice, or maybe people are gossiping about you or saying things behind your back. This card coming up reversed in a love reading can signify that you have certain feelings about your partner that you are ignoring or hiding from them. It could mean that you suspect they are keeping a secret, or you yourself are keeping secrets. This card suggests an opportunity for open communication to clear up any misconceptions or trust issues. Valentine's Day may be the perfect time to have this deep heart-to-heart with your sweetie, or with the moon opposing Mars today, this could lead to arguments. So sit quietly with yourself and make the space in your mind to listen to what your intuition is trying to tell you. It could also mean that recently you feel like your world has literally been turned upside down and you've been unable to express yourself freely and openly. Maybe you feel that you need to protect your psychic channels, and so you've turned them off, blocked the flow, and built a wall around yourself psychically for some reason. And this card is indicating that it's time to let down your guard for a bit and connect with your intuition and your partner. The card that represents your partner is Page of Swords. The Page of Swords is about new ideas, fresh outlooks, and new ways of communicating. The ground beneath his feet is green and fertile, and the winds of change dash through the air behind him. He is full of energy, passion, and enthusiasm. Swords represent communication, and a sword fight could be for a battle or for fun. In this spread, the page is to the right of the High Priestess and is looking at her. This is a good omen that your partner is paying attention to you. They want to communicate and play with you in whatever capacity you want. Their body is leaning towards the next card, which is the relationship, indicating that they have their focus on you and they are ready to try something new in regards to your relationship. The card that represents the relationship is 6, the Lovers. Wow, the Lovers coming up on Valentine's Day. I did not rig this. This is really the card that came up. 6, the Lovers is all about relationships and being vulnerable and standing in your truth. It is also about choices and dualities, as shown by the dual nature of the man and the woman on this card. The Lovers is represented by Gemini, the twins, who love to talk, communicate, and be social, but also have fun and experience the many different sides of life. So I feel as the card that represents the relationship, this is a good omen that indicates by staying curious, open-minded, vulnerable, standing in your truth, and communicating openly about your feelings, the relationship can receive many blessings, as shown by the archangel above the couple on the card. I'm very curious about what you think of today's horoscope and readings. Please leave a comment if any of this resonates with you. I really do love and appreciate hearing your thoughts. I hope this is helpful. Have a wonderful holiday. Until tomorrow, AstroMommy.
Thank you for reading or listening to the Daily Horoscope. Quick links and resources can be found at the bottom of the newsletter. Today's cards were pulled from the Golden Art Nouveau Tarot, available on Amazon. If you purchase anything through the affiliate links that I provide in the newsletters, I will make a small commission, but there are no additional costs to you. I don't share or recommend things that I don't 100% believe in and use myself. Thanks for listening.